Disciples Association. We're participating weekly in this reading and discussion sadhana program that we began approximately 10 months ago as our method for association globally using internet facilities. Can everyone hear me? Vijay Pandit, can you hear me okay? And we have a new host today, Hari Prasad. If you want to change the screen from Nandi Mukti, that would be better. At any rate, this week we had a wonderful program in Sacramento on
Abbiamo avuto un bellissimo programma a Sacramento.
Yeah, and that was the Janmashtami festival on Thursday and the Vyas Puja celebration on Friday.
E il Vyasa Puja di venerdì.
Vijay Pandit, if you could mute.
We cannot hear you.
Yeah. There's nothing I can do.
That's good.
So,
Now we can hear you.
oh, thank you, Dr. Ram Raghava. So I'll start over again. I'll say I want to thank everyone who participated this week on our programs in Sacramento, California, that was held by Bhaktivedanta Singh, and it was very successful festivals that attracted many people from that local area to come. And we had Yaśodā-nandana Prabhu came down from Twain Harte in the mountains to host the festivals as the guest speaker. And he was extremely well received by all the people that came. And it was a starting point for us in that area to continue building this preaching program there. And I want to encourage everyone in our call to use these opportunities, especially during the week with our classes. Right now, our classes, our production manager, Venkat Bhatta Prabhu, is preparing to leave by jet from India to come to Toronto and then on to California to visit with Yaśodā-nandana Prabhu and Bhaktivedanta Singh. So we want to thank Hari Prasad, who's also in Bangalore, who's taken over as the co-host today. And this will be his first run through with our production, but this is very good. Krishna is helping us to continue to organize what we're doing to be effective in spreading the Krishna Consciousness movement, Dr. Ram Raghava, through this medium of the internet, which appears to be a blessing from Krishna for all of us, that we have this opportunity to get this association. Otherwise, it's very difficult for everybody to come together traditionally or take a train or drive a car to get to association with other devotees. But in this way, we're able to do an expansive covering of the globe with our presentations, which I want to make a comment Ram Raghava, we're cataloging and videoing these classes for future generations. This is the idea. I mean, we have a small group here in a relative sense, although, our numbers keep expanding, but compared to the material world, it's a small number of people. We're not sure how many demigods are joining us in these programs as well, because this is such a key part of the Sankirtan mission to protect the legacy of Srila Prabhupada. And when people see the truth being spoken without anger or motivation, but simply out of a desire to serve. Remember this, Ram Raghava, and all of us are doing this. These are all voluntary programs that we're putting on. And we've been diligent in following this because of our devotion to our Guru, Srila Prabhupada. That is the issue. You're devoted, Ram Raghava, Vijay Pandit is in Italy. All of the people that attend the classes on a regular basis with us are committed to it because they're committed to their own spiritual life. They're committed to their relationship with Prabhupada. And that is our common denominator, that we're all servants of Srila Prabhupada. And we're doing the best we can depending on the time and circumstance. So we're coming to the end of the reading of the Prabhupada diaries, which have been very informative. And it's key for the new people that are joining us that they have an understanding of Prabhupada's struggle in the early years and how positive he was no matter how many setbacks he had. This is something that goes on in life, is setbacks. You always get them. It doesn't matter who you are. But at the same time, if we stay focused on our process of Krishna consciousness, then these setbacks become a blessing from Krishna. So here in this particular case, when Prabhupada went to San Francisco, he left his 22nd Street, 2nd Avenue ashram. He left it without his presence. The landlord became upset, and they wanted to. He decided that they had to move, and when they did that, Prabhupada saw this as an opportunity to expand what they were doing. Hare Krishna, did you manage to see the copy that I sent to you by WhatsApp, or yes, in this, to refer to it on the screen? If not, Prabhu, I'm going to go ahead and read briefly this next section from the the diaries. Okay. Thank you, Venkat. Just go back over to the other page. After the devotees vacated 26 2nd Avenue at the end of December 1968, it became a second-hand furniture shop. By the time devotees had opened centers in San Francisco, Montreal, Los Angeles, Boston, Buffalo, and Santa Fe, and on, Srila Prabhupada's instructions were intent upon extending the Hare Krishna movement to England, Europe, and beyond 26 2nd Avenue. Had no part to play in their plans. Brahmananda Das says, in 1970, when we moved to Brooklyn to the Henry Street Temple, we forgot about 2nd Avenue. Bodan Pariktikko purchased the 22nd Avenue building from Mr. Chuti in 1973. The storefront was converted into a storage place and remains as such for 12 years. However, even in the derelict state, the storefront became an honored place. New York devotee would drive visitors by 26 2nd Avenue to point out the old temple, Nestor Cortocco, who took over the management of 22nd 2nd Avenue from his father, remembers as a teenager in the mid-70s seeing in front of 26 2nd. 77, Srila Prabhupada passed away, leaving his many followers with a poignant final lesson: to love and serve him in separation. Deprived of his presence, devotees sought Srila Prabhupada in his books and recorded lectures along with their remembrances. Every moment spent in Srila Prabhupada's association became more precious. Each object and place associated with him took on greater significance. Srila Prabhupada Lilamrita describes the earliest days with Srila Prabhupada at 26 2nd Avenue as being simple and sweet. The storefront in which these pastimes occurred now became a place of special focus. Yes. Became a place of pilgrimage, Prabhus. Wherever the pure devotee walked, that became a place of pilgrimage for his disciples. As the Hare Krishna movement approached its 20th anniversary in 1986, New York devotees grew to esteem the places associated with Srila Prabhupada's pastimes in New York. Soon, whenever visiting devotees would come to town, the local devotees would give them a tour of the Prabhupada sites: the dock in Brooklyn, where Srila Prabhupada had disembarked from the Jaladuta, 94 Bowery, the loft that he was staying at, 26 2nd Avenue, and Tompkins Square Park. Sometimes when visiting 22nd Avenue, they would stand on the trash dumpster of the gas station and look over the wall into the courtyard of 26 2nd Avenue. Sometimes they would sneak in. The notion arose among some devotees that 26 2nd Avenue must be retrieved and preserved. Devotees were already treating it like a place of pilgrimage. So why not obtain it and convert it into a shrine? Because of Srila Prabhupada's activities there, 26 2nd Avenue qualified as a tirtha, a holy place. It is in the Vrindavan tradition that a place where a pure devotee lives is more important than the place where he was born. Tradition favored the effort, but recovering 26 2nd Avenue was motivated by sentiment. In this place, Prabhupada had tutored this young spiritual citizen children, showing them how to wear their dhotis and saris, how to dance, and how to worship the deity of Krishna. The devotees felt compelled to reclaim it. By 1985, 26 2nd Avenue was again being used as an antique store. The sign above the door read, "Rescued Estates." Sometimes devotees would visit the store, look about the narrow room cluttered with bric and brac, and try to discern something of what it was like when Prabhupada had taught Bhagavad-gītā there. In May 1970, an art dealer happened to visit Brooklyn ISKCON Temple. He was eyeing a display of photographs of the beginning of the movement and noticed one of 26 2nd Avenue. "I know the people who currently rent that place," he commented to the devotees. The devotees asked the dealer to approach the current tenant to see whether they would be willing to relinquish the storefront. The devotees became excited at the prospect of regaining 26th 2nd Avenue, but the art dealer did not immediately contact the owners of rescued estates. So we'll continue on tomorrow with the reading from the diary and the epilogue after. And now we'll move forward with the chanting of Radha Madhava by His Divine Grace, Srila Prabhupada. And then we'll enjoy the wonderful discussion and reading of Bhagavad-gītā being led today again by His Grace Yaśodā-nandana Prabhu. All glories to Srila Prabhupada.
Sai. Jaya Radha Madhava Punya Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Punya Bihari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari. Jaya Radha Madhava Punya Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Punya Bihari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari. Yaśodā-nandana Dāsa. Yaśodā-nandana Jamuna Tira Vanachari. Jamuna Tira Paramat Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Prabhupada ki jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnavrinda ki jai. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur ki jai. Prem se kaho Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Sivas Adi Gaur Bhaktivinoda ki jai. Sri Sri Radha Krishna Gaur Gopinath Sam Kund Radha Kund Giri Govardhan ki jai. Vrindavan Dham ki jai. Navadvip Dham ki jai. Swami to Ganga Mai ki jai. Tulasi Devi ki Bhakti Devi ki jai. Swami to Bhaktivinoda ki jai. All glories to the assembled Lord. All glories to the assembled Lord. Thank you very much.
Om Ajnana-timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshuranmiritam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Sri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Svapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagunara Gunatan Anvitamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagunara Gunatan Vitamscha Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakan Vitamscha Edo do Jagat Pesha Gopi Radha Kantuti Tapta Kanchana Gourangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Haripriye Vantakalpa Tarubhyascha Kripa Sindubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaham Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. So welcome everyone to this reading and discussion on Srimad Bhagavad-gītā. As every Saturday we have these readings and discussions, and all the readings are based upon the translations, purports of His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupāda, affectionately known by his follower as Srila Prabhupada, Founder-Ācārya of the International Society for Krishna Consciousness, also known as the Krishna Consciousness movement. Today we will be reading from chapter 9, from text 22. Ananyas chintayanto mam ye janaha paryupasate tesham nityabhiyuktanam yogakshemam vahamyaham. Ananyaha, no other, chintayantaha, concentrating, mam, unto me, ye, who, janaha, persons, paryupasate, properly worship, tesham, there, nitya, always, abhiyuktanam, fixed in devotion, yogakshemam, requirements, vami, carry, aham, I. Translation by His Divine Grace, Srila Prabhupada. But those who worship me with devotion, meditating on my transcendental form, to them I carry what they lack and preserve what they have. Purport. One who is unable to live for a moment without Krishna consciousness cannot but think of Krishna 24 hours, being engaged in devotional service by hearing, chanting, remembering, offering prayers, worshiping, serving the lotus feet of the Lord, rendering other services, cultivating friendship, and surrendering fully to the Lord. Such activities are all auspicious and full of spiritual potencies. Indeed, they make the devotee perfect in self-realization. Then his only desire is to achieve the association of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. This is called yoga. By the mercy of the Lord, such a devotee never comes back to this material condition of life. Kshema refers to the merciful protection of the Lord. The Lord helps the devotee to achieve Krishna consciousness by yoga. And when he becomes fully Krishna conscious, the Lord protects him from falling down to a miserable conditioned life. Text 23. Yepi anya devata bhakta shradante shradayan vita tepi mam eva kaunteya yajanti avidipurvakam. Ye, those, api, also, anya, other, devata, demigods, bhakta, devotees, yajante, worship, shraddaya anvitaha, with faith, te, they, api, also, mam, me, eva, even, kaunteya, O son of Kunti, yajanti, sacrifice, avidipurvakam, in a wrong way. Translation by Srila Prabhupada. Whatever a man may sacrifice to other gods, O son of Kunti, is really meant for me alone, but it is offered without true understanding. Purport. Persons who are engaged in the worship of demigods are not very intelligent, although such worship is done to me indirectly. Krishna says, for example, when a man pours water on the leaves and branches of a tree without pouring water on the root, he does so without sufficient knowledge or without observing regulative principles. Similarly, the process of rendering service to different parts of the body is to supply food to the stomach. The demigods are, so to speak, different officers and directors, officers or directors. Similarly, everyone is to offer his worship to the Supreme Lord only. That will automatically satisfy the different officers and directors of the Lord. The officers and directors are engaged as representatives of the government and to offer some bribe to the officers and directors is illegal. This is stated here as avidipurvakam. In other words, Krishna does not approve the unnecessary worship of the demigods. Om ajnana timirandasya jnananjana shalakaya chena. Respectful obeisances unto my spiritual master. We all offer our respectful obeisances unto our spiritual master, Srila Prabhupada, who has opened our eyes from the darkness of ignorance with a torchlight of transcendental knowledge. Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Bhagavad-vandanam khadyam Guru Vandana Purvakam Kshiram Sharkara Yuktam Kadatehi Visheshataham Bhakti Siddhanta Shishyaya Bhaktivedanta Namine Prasannaya Prashantaya Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Adadhanastrinam Danter Idam Yache Punaha Punaha Srimad Rupa Padam Bhoja Dhulisyam Janma Janmani Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Sri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Sri Rup Sanatana Bhatta Raghunata Sri Jiva Gopala Bhatta Dasa Raghunata Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. In 1976, in Hyderabad, South India, for the occasion of Janmashtami, Srila Prabhupada came and we had the installation ceremony of the Radha Madan Mohan deities in the temple. Srila Prabhupada had been informed that the local residents in Hyderabad would not accept the ISKCON temple unless we had some local Brahmins perform the ceremonies. If we did not do that, then they would consider a Mlacha or a Yavana temple that was not properly opened according to the what's called the Pran Pratishta ceremonies. So Prabhupada had advised Mahamsa Swami to arrange, and myself, to arrange to bring 12 South Indian Ramanuja Brahmins, Sri Vaishnava Brahmins, to do the opening of the temple. So we contacted one devotee named Sampat Kumar Bhattacharya, who was a Sri Vaishnava residing in Bangalore, and he made arrangements to bring 12 of these very qualified Brahmins to assist to perform the ceremonies. So in the next few days that culminated to the Vyasa Puja and the Janmashtami opening of the temple, in the next few days we had very interesting discussions with some of the leading pundits, some of them were great learned scholars. A few of them spoke very good English, Sanskrit, and a host of other South Indian languages. And one of them basically started a discussion on this exact verse of Bhagavad-gītā about the worship of the demigods. And he said the problem with the demigod worship is that it is not authorized by Krishna in the Bhagavad-gītā. And he quoted that line, Yajanti Avidipurvakam. It's interesting how Prabhupada is translating the word Avidipurvakam in the wrong way. And Prabhupada explains in the purports how if you want to water a tree, you don't water every branch, every leaf, every flower, every twig. No, that's not how it works. What do? You water the root of the tree. So by worshiping Krishna, Yata Taror Mula Nishasanena, in the 5th canto of the Bhagavatam, it is described by worshiping Lord Krishna or Vishnu, then automatically all the branches, the leaves, all the other parts of the tree are nourished. But if one foolishly thinks that he can water the tree by pouring water on the leaves, the separate branches, separate twigs, that is not the proper way. That is not the authorized way. Similarly, the worship of all the demigods, when people think that by worshiping any of the other demigods, all the results go to Krishna, they often give the example that all the waters in the rivers and other bodies of the water ultimately all go to the ocean. So ultimately all your worship goes to God anyway. But that is not the standard proper understanding. Krishna says here, whatever a man may sacrifice to other gods, O son of Kunti, is really meant for me alone, but it is offered without true understanding. This is a very important point. The great acharyas, we've often discussed this, Prabhupada mentions in the Bhagavad-gītā in the introduction and many other places in his teachings, that great acharyas such as Ramanuja, Madhvacharya, Vishnu Swami, Nimbarka, Vallabhacharya, or Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the 6 Goswamis, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, Sripad Baladev Vidyabhushana, Bhaktivedanta Thakur, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, or Srila Prabhupada, they all agree that the worship of Krishna, Lord Vishnu, is the ultimate worship. Why do the Vaishnavacharyas say this? This is after conclusive study of the Shastras. Very important point. This is not simply sentiment. Prabhupada explained one time that many people, they think, oh, I know Krishna, he was born in Mathura, he was the son of Krishna and Devaki, and then they will go on do all their nonsense. That is not understanding Krishna properly. In order to understand Krishna properly, the truth of Lord Krishna, then one has to hear the activity, hear the knowledge of Krishna, to acquire the knowledge of Krishna from a bona fide acharya, such as Srila Prabhupada. Acharyavan Purusho Veda. In the Chandogya Upanishad, it is described that one who has accepted the acharya, he can understand everything. Now, this is a very important point because I think as devotees, you will see, especially those who are in India, you go to India in various places, there are many learned Sanskrit scholars, many learned Sanskrit pundits who present different aspects of Krishna's teachings. Many of them are not Vaishnavas. But it's important to understand, if you do not hear the message of Krishna, the pastimes of Krishna, from one who is a bona fide, authorized devotee of Krishna, you're guaranteed to misunderstand. One who is not a Vaishnava will not be able to deliver Krishna properly. Srila Prabhupada often complained that in India there is a practice called Bhagavat Saptaha. that they read the entire text of the Srimad Bhagavatam. They hire some pandit to recite in Sanskrit all the verses of Srimad Bhagavatam continually for 7 days. And they do some pujas, some worship. Prabhupada said, that is not the proper standard. That is not the standard. In the Sunday readings and discussions, we read a few verses from the Srimad Bhagavatam, and one of these verses explains Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya, that one should render constant eternal service to the Srimad Bhagavatam and the pure Mahabhagavata devotee. This is how to understand Krishna. Several times I've explained the story of how Guru Kripa Swami and myself were in Bangalore in 1972, and one pandit, a professional pandit, came to speak to us. And as part of the discussion, he started to criticize Krishna by saying, oh, Krishna told Maharaj Yudhishthira to lie. Krishna was dancing with many gopis. Krishna did this, Krishna did that. Of course, Guru Kripa Swami could have easily punched him in the mouth, but what he did was very brilliant. He stopped him in his tracks and said, you don't know anything. You should shut your mouth. You are speaking nonsense. You do not know who is Krishna. And then he quoted several verses from Brahma Samhita, Srimad Bhagavatam, Bhagavad-gītā, and very quickly silenced him. So the next time we saw Srila Prabhupada in October of 1972 in Vrindavan, during the Nectar of Devotion lecture series, we went in Prabhupada's room and we explained to him what had happened in Bangalore with this professional pundit. And Srila Prabhupada's answer basically was, yes, you have given good reply, but in the future you should tell like this, that you cannot understand Krishna's activities without first understanding who is Krishna. It is impossible to understand Lord Krishna's activities unless you understand Krishna's person. And you can only understand Krishna's person from a pure devotee of Krishna. So next time you quote him like this. First, you quote from the Brahma Samhita. Ishvara Parama Krishna Sachidananda Vigraha Anagaradir Govinda Sarva Karana Karanam. First you quote him that Krishna is the Supreme Godhead, the cause of all causes. He has an eternal body made of Satchidananda, eternity, bliss, and knowledge. Next, you quote from Bhagavad-gītā, chapter 7, text 7, Matta parataram nanyat kinchinasti dhananjaya mayi sarvamidam protam sutre manigana eva. But there is no truth superior to me. Everything is resting upon me, just like pearls upon a thread. Sometimes you see the label put of a beautiful strand of pearl or several strands, but these pearls are resting upon it. They're not independent. So everything in the world is depending on Krishna. Then Prabhupada went on, next you tell him, Bhagavad-gītā, chapter 10, text 10, Aham sarvasya prabhavo matta sarvam pravartate, that everything is coming from me, everything material and spiritual. Prabhupada said, like that, you explain like that, you preach like that. So Srila Prabhupada, out of his kindness and his unlimited scholarship, very kindly taught us how to present the philosophy of Krishna consciousness. Now, this false idea that is very prevalent, especially in India and amongst various Indian population groups around the world, that you can worship any god or demigod, and that is the same. This is a wrong idea. That's why here in Bhagavad-gītā it says, Avidi Purvakam. Another point that is being raised here is in text number 22, that Krishna gives full protection. We have seen Prabhupada himself explain so many times that Krishna protects his devotee. We see in Bhagavad-gītā, Krishna proclaims to Arjuna, Kaunteya pratijanihi name bhakta pranashyati. You may declare boldly, Arjuna, that my devotee will never perish. This is very important. We are reading the life of Srila Prabhupada, his activities when he first came to America, when he first came out of the boat in Boston in 1965 in September, how he went to Butler, Pennsylvania, stayed at the house of Mr. Agarwal, gradually went to New York. He started his preaching under very difficult conditions. I mean, it's important to understand, Prabhupada came to America. He had I don't know how many dollars he had to his name. There's a conversation in the Srila Prabhupada Conversation book series. When Prabhupada was getting ready to come off the boat, he told this Captain Pandya, who is the captain of the Jaladuta ship, that, sir, I have no money. Can you give me some money? I will give you a set of books. He wanted to give him the first 3 volumes of Srimad Bhagavatam. And the captain just volunteered. He gave him either $20 or $30. I don't know exactly the amount. But it goes to show that Prabhupada did not have a whole lot of money. He totally relied on Krishna. When he went to Butler's, Pennsylvania, there was not a large number of devotees there. When he first came to New York, he was residing, as we saw, in Dr. Mishra's ashram, residing in different places, totally relying on Krishna, completely relying on Krishna. Prabhupada has several times explained how he was simply trying to fulfill the mission of his Guru Maharaj. Yesterday, for the Vyasa Puja, at one point we were reading from the poems that Srila Prabhupada wrote while he was on the ship. Just before he was ready to disembark the ship, the Jaladuta, he wrote a poem called Markine Bhagavata Dharma. It was written in Bengali and translated very nicely by devotees. And it's beautiful how Srila Prabhupada is expressing the sentiment. Prabhupada was not presenting himself, although he was the most qualified, but still he was presenting himself. I have no devotion. I do not know. I am simply here to fulfill the mission of my Guru Maharaj, these very beautiful devotional sentiments of humility, of praying at the lotus feet of Krishna, asking Krishna to empower him, to guide him. In one place, Prabhupada says, if you want, you can make me dance, make me dance. You can make it a success or a failure. Prabhupada says, you can fulfill the meaning of this name, Bhaktivedanta. It's quite amazing. You read every line of this poem. It is very, very deep, very deep. There is no arrogance, thinking I'm a big devotee, I'm a big scholar, I know better than this one, I know better than that one. This is not how Srila Prabhupada was thinking. And we see that despite all the hardships that Prabhupada went through in the first few years, especially in 1965, 1966, that he always remained fixed upon Krishna. Prabhupada was the personification of this verse, Ananyas Chintayanto Mam. In 1976, there was a very interesting event with Srila Prabhupada when Prabhupada went to Nellore. Nellore is in the southeast portion of Andhra Pradesh in India, near the ocean. And Prabhupada took the train from Madras, now Chennai, to Nellore. And what happened on the train, there was an Indian person who came to Prabhupada's cabin and requested for his blessings. He begged Prabhupada, please give me your blessing. And Prabhupada said to him, what do you want my blessings for? He says, oh, I have a problem with my knee. Give me your blessing so I can cure my knee problem. Prabhupada laughed and he pointed out to the devotees around him. Says, why don't you take that blessing? You become devotee. Then you will solve all the problems. Your knee problem, your personal problem, family problems, everything. Why don't you take this up? Take up the chanting. And the man kept insisting that he had a knee problem. So this is the position that some people, even though they come in contact with the greatest Mahabhagavata, the greatest Acharya, the Shaktiyavisha avatar, the topmost Mahabhagavata, they will ask to solve the knee problem. And there are so many other distractions. There is a very interesting purport in one of Srila Prabhupada's books that sometimes people become devotee and Prabhupada discusses they have ulterior motive, personal motive. We're not supposed to become devotee or Vaishnavas to fulfill our personal motives. We're supposed to rely on the words of Krishna. Just like in this text, Krishna promises, Yoga Kshemam Vahamyaham. Just like in the material world, you purchase insurance policies for your car, for your home, for your life, for sometimes for your business. There's all different kinds of insurance policies. So this text of Bhagavad-gītā is Krishna's insurance policy for the Vaishnava. Yoga Kshemam Vahamyaham. For those who are devoted to Krishna, without personal motivation, Krishna says, to them I carry what they lack and preserve what they have. There are so many lectures by Srila Prabhupada. Yesterday, when I came back from Sacramento and Modesto to Northern California, where we live, the first thing I did is go to the Prabhupada website called Vanipedia, and I put the words Chintayonto Mam to see what Srila Prabhupada says about this text that we're discussing. Because Venkat Bhatta Prabhu had sent me an email, oh, we would be discussing this text of Bhagavad-gītā. So I went to that site and I started to look at so many explanations of Srila Prabhupada, so many explanations he gives about this exact same verse. It is so beautiful how Srila Prabhupada is giving so many wonderful explanations from so many different angles on the same topic. This is just amazing. And you can, if somebody is really interested, you can hear the audio, or you can, even on the internet now, sometimes you can see the video of Srila Prabhupada's lecture. We don't have the video of Vishwanath Chakravarti speaking his lectures on Srimad Bhagavatam, or Rupa Goswami explaining the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. Prabhupada gave us the translation, the Nectar of Devotion, but it is amazing now that we can see Srila Prabhupada, even devotees, just like this last couple of days, there was a few devotees there at Bhakta Ram's house. I didn't know who they were. One of them, he was there, he was chanting the whole time, dancing, listening very attentively to the reading and the discussion. Finally, at the end, I said, who are you? Because I was really amazed how this person for like 3.5 hours was chanting enthusiastically, listening very attentively, very focused. I said, who is this person? Who is he? Finally, I asked him, he says, because when we were ready to leave, there was a big, huge van parked behind our vehicle. So I said, somebody has a vehicle there in the driveway? He says, oh, that's me, that same devotee. So I went to him outside. I said, what's in that vehicle? What do you use that vehicle for? He says, oh, I go out distributing books 12 hours a day, 7 days a week. I said, what? Yeah, I distribute Prabhupada's books 7 days a week. 12 hours. Wow. So this is the mercy of Krishna, that somebody who's been infected by the mercy of Srila Prabhupada, it doesn't matter whether they physically saw him and they sat with Prabhupada in his room and attended his morning walk and attended his morning lecture. No, all it requires is simply to hear Srinvatam Svakata Krishna Punyastravana Kirtanaha. This is the grace of Srila Prabhupada. His blessings are there, whether somebody met him or not, directly or not. Just like many times on this call, there's Ram Raghava Prabhu in Georgia, USA. His parents come to the class. His father, an initiated disciple of Srila Prabhupada, very devoted to hearing Srimad Bhagavatam. Although he's advanced in age, he has a very, very good taste for hearing Srimad Bhagavatam. He got the memo. He understood Srila Prabhupada's instruction. Hear the Srimad Bhagavatam. Devote your life to live the principles of Srimad Bhagavatam. So we are very grateful to Ram Raghava Prabhu to have such beautiful, nice Vaishnav parents who are so devoted to the message of Srimad Bhagavatam. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna.
Thank you very much, Yaśodā-nandana Prabhu, for that wonderful explanation of these verses and so many references for us to all remember in terms of how Srila Prabhupada would preach to others these explanations of the Bhagavad-gītā in such an authentic manner. And it's very important for us to follow in the footsteps of Srila Prabhupada and humbly follow in the footsteps of your good self. Because this, Prabhus, is the example of how to preach, how to present the philosophy of Krishna consciousness properly. Because this is a science based on following in the footsteps of the pure devotee. And Yaśodā-nandana was explaining in his talk about the great journey that Prabhupada took to America with no Lakshmi, no money. This is the example of a great adventurer. And Prabhupada indeed was that, a great adventurer, like a young man. Most young men are great adventurers. They're prepared to go do things that older men won't do. They're prepared to go to war. They're prepared to go on a long journey. They're prepared to undertake all kinds of austerities, especially when we joined the mission back in the early days. Many of us young men were prepared to do things that I wouldn't even consider these days, because they were so difficult back then. But this is the example that Prabhupada set for all of us, even in his elder years, at 70 years of age. He undertook this great journey. And not only, Ram Raghava, did he undertake the journey at 70 to simply come to America. You can see how quickly he acted after he gained some momentum in New York City. Immediately he got on the plane and went to San Francisco and started the center there with the devotees. And then he deputed devotees to go to England from there. And they went to England, they met the Beatles. And they started preaching Krishna consciousness to the English-speaking people there and engaged the Beatles in recording the Hare Krishna mantra. Can you imagine? And it became the #1 hit in England. And it was played everywhere. This was all Prabhupada's adventurous spirit infecting everyone in the spreading of Krishna consciousness. The human life is a very great gift from God. And in my recent trip across Canada, I'm now in Calgary, visiting with my son and my grandchildren. And the most notable thing was to see how vast the creation, even on this planet, truly is. And every tree, even though there are millions, actually there are billions of trees in Canada alone, they're all spirit souls. And then along with all these spirit souls, Yaśodā-nandana Prabhu, there are billions and billions of insects. And then there are billions of birds and other life forms, and everyone has a soul. And then once in a while in the car, you see one human being driving a car by himself. You see billions of living entities, and then all of a sudden there's a human. Oh my God. So it is a very rare opportunity that we have. That's the point. We should not become arrogant and think, oh, I'm such a big person. We are truly dasa, anudasa, insignificant spirit souls. And Prabhupada told us, he said, you should take Krishna consciousness very seriously because you have this very valuable gift of the human form of life. And he said, there was a question asked to him, how quick can you become Krishna conscious? And Prabhupada said, it can be in a moment, or it may take many millions of births. It's just a matter of understanding and accepting the fact. So these teachings from Srila Prabhupada Yaśodā-nandana give us an understanding directly how to get to Krishna without worrying so much about the demigods or about any of the other sophisticated philosophies that are found in India. For example, when I first got my initiation back in 1971, Prabhupada announced my name. He goes, your name is Vishvakarma Das. Now, to be very honest, I had no idea who Vishvakarma, the chief engineer of the universe, was. It took me 2 days to find out the meaning. I had no idea because we had no books. We had no reference from our humble position in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada. But eventually you get to learn and understand who these different great personalities are. But the point was, we did know who Lord Chaitanya was. We did know who Lord Krishna was. And this was all by the mercy of Srila Prabhupada, that he was giving us the direction that we needed to get out of this entanglement in the material world. Not to worry about all these other things, like watering the root of a tree. Automatically, all the leaves and branches are replenished. So when you learn to serve Krishna, when you learn to serve Lord Chaitanya, when you learn to become fixed in your mission given by our spiritual master, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami, that answers all the questions in life. Just like when you have $100, Prabhupada would give us this example. When you have $100, you can solve your $50 and your $25 problems. But if all you've got is a $25 bill, you can't pay a $100 bill. So like worshiping the demigods is like a $25 deposit in your bank account, but you can't solve all the problems of life by worshiping the demigods. This is a mistake. So we are all very blessed in this Krishna consciousness process. And Prabhupada said, as I mentioned, it is simply a matter of understanding and accepting the fact he has given us the direct path. And it's simple for the simple and difficult for the crooked, irrespective of your birth. We are blessed because we are not confused, especially here in the West, hearing only from His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami. Yaśodā-nandana, please, if you could continue.
Very important points being raised. At this point, I will read from a lecture from Srila Prabhupada on this same verse that was given in New York on December 8, 1966. New York, December 8, 1966. Srila Prabhupada, Ananyas chintayanto mam ye janaha paryupasate tesham nitya biyuktanam yogakshemam vahamyaham. Now Lord Krishna is speaking about his own devotees. So far he has spoken about the elevationist, material elevationist. Evam tridharmam anuprapanna gatagatam kama kama labante. Repeating the same process, sometimes going up, sometimes going down. This is the material process. Today I am the richest person, richest man, and tomorrow I may be poverty-stricken man in the street. This is going on. As we find in this earth, so also by our pious activities, we can be promoted to better planets. Then, kshinye punye martyalokam vishanti. And when the resultant actions of pious activities is finished, then again we are driven to this earth or down than this earth. So this is going on. Lord Chaitanya says that erupe brahmante brahmite kona bhagyavan jiv, that this way, this cycle of different species of life, they are going on. So traveling in this way, somebody who is very fortunate by association of devotees, he gets the seed of devotional service. Erupe brahmanda brahmite kona bhagyavan jiv. To achieve the seed of devotional service is a fortunate achievement. Not very easy because transmigration of the soul. As permanent self, shall I live here permanently and make arrangement. But we do not know. The cycle of transmigration is not fixed up. I do not know if it is mine. I do not know who is coming as my son, who is coming son. These load kama kama labante. We are captivated by the. So those who are in the institutional of their real constitution, as Bhagavad-gītā started from the very beginning, that I am this body, Bhagavad-gītā, this is this. So you have to mold your life in your identification of spiritual existence. So far the materialist is concerned, they are chewing the chewed. Puna puna charvita charvananam. The example which I have given you in the last day, as sugar cane, one has extracted all the juice by chewing. So it is again thrown on the earth, and somebody is chewing. So there is no juice. So we are simply repeating the same thing. We do not question whether this process of life can at all give us happiness. But we are trying the same thing. The ultimate purpose of sense gratification And the highest, topmost sense gratification is sex life. So we are trying, chewing as chewing, you see, extracting. But that is not the process at happiness. The happiness is different. Sukham atyantikam yattad atindriya grahyam. Real happiness is transcendental. And that transcendental means that I must understand what is my position and what is my process of life. In this way, this Krishna consciousness will teach you. So those who are Krishna conscious, about them, the Lord is saying, Ananyas chintayanto mam. Ananya chintayantanaha means always, 24 hours, without any deviation, always thinking of Krishna. Naturally, if you are engaged in the business of Krishna, then you will always think of Krishna. Anyone who is absorbed in a certain particular business, he is always thinking of that thing. So anyone who is engaged in Krishna consciousness, his business is to think of Krishna always. Just like you are reading, hearing on this Bhagavad-gītā, it is spoken by Krishna. And if you think at home that this sort of speeches was given by Lord Krishna, this is the essence. So that is Krishna Chintayantaha. To think of Bhagavad-gītā is also Krishna thinking, because Bhagavad-gītā is not different from Krishna. Absolute. It is from the absolute. There is no duality. In the absolute sense, there is no duality. If I speak something, because I'm not speaking in the absolute, therefore my speaking and my different. Words of Lord Krishna is not different. Bhagavad-gītā, the instruction we receive from Bhagavad-gītā, that is also thinking of Krishna. Ananyas chintayanto mam. Always who are thinking about me. Ye janaha paryupasate. And why one should think of Krishna unless he has fully surrendered to Krishna. Unless one has taken the business of Krishna, he cannot think of Krishna. He cannot think of Krishna. Therefore it is said, Ananyas chintayanto mam ye janaha paryupasate. Paryupasate means constantly worshiping in that way. Tesham nitya abhiyuktanam. Abhiyukta is always engaged in Krishna consciousness. Therefore, yogakshemam bahamyaham. Not that only the materialistic people will remain happy. Krishna assures that one who is always engaged in Krishna consciousness, his happiness will not be divorced. He will be also happy because I will make him. I will supply him whatever he requires. So this is really an amazing lecture that goes on for several pages, and we recommend to all the devotees to look. This is available on the website, prabhupadbooks.com, and the lectures. You look on the lectures, Bhagavad-gītā chapter 9, text 22 and 23, and read this entire flow of nectar from His Divine Grace. Hare Krishna.
Thank you very much, Yaśodā-nandana Prabhu. This is a very in-depth explanation of these verses and the meaning of them to all of us in our lives. And I'd like our friend, Dr. Ram Raghava, to please share his realizations this morning to us on these subject matters. Ram Raghava Prabhu, how are you there is it Georgia? Are you in Georgia? Your microphone, please.
Hare Krishna. Can you hear me now?
Yes, sir. Yes.
Please accept my humble obeisances to everyone. Thank you for the wonderful class. Yes, it's Georgia. It's southeast Georgia. First of all, I just wanted to make a quick brief mention. Happy belated birthday to Vishwakarma Prabhu from last Thursday. I know he probably doesn't want me to bring it up, but anyway, I thought I'd mention that.
Prabhu, I just wanted to mention I didn't mention it in my message back to you. I did thank you. But my birthday is on September 19th, the same day that Prabhupada arrived in America in
Okay.
1965. So
Coming up.
a few days before or after, no big deal, but thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Go ahead, please share your realizations.
So I wanted to share this from the same lecture in New York in December 8, 1966. I thought it was very nice how Srila Prabhupada mentioned how Krishna takes care of his devotee, and he explains the psychology. He says that Krishna assures that one who is always engaged in Krishna consciousness, his happiness will not be divorced. He will be also happy because I will supply him whatever he requires. It's very easy to, like somebody maintains his children. He all day works and he has the aim how his family member will be, because he knows that those people, those children, they're fully dependent upon him. This is the same consciousness, because where from this consciousness comes unless it is not in Krishna. Janmadya asya jataha. In the Vedanta Sutra, it is stated, whatever you think, whatever you see, it has its origin. And where is that origin? In Krishna. Unless in Krishna this thinking is not there, that my devotees, Krishna, every one of us is son of Krishna, that's all right. But especially, just like a very big businessman, all his employees, they are all the person by the boss. But a special attention, only Krishna, the Supreme Lord, entities, but especially anxious for his devotee. Like that, Srila Prabhupada mentions how Krishna takes care, especially of his devotees. So I thought that was very, very nice.
Yes, exactly. That Krishna is present in everyone's heart as the super soul. And he is fully aware of everything that goes on in your life without question. This doubt that's constantly there in the minds of the mundaners, the karmis, that God is nowhere, he does not exist, or in the mind of the atheist. This is the business of the fool, Ram Raghava, the ignorant fool that's lost in the ocean of material existence. This is an ocean of difficulty, misery. But we have a solution by the grace of Srila Prabhupada. Jonas Priya in Hawaii. I know Jonas Priya gets up very early in the morning like Vijaya Pandit.
Haribol, Hare Krishna.
Glories to Prabhupada. Please,
Jai
if you could
Srila Prabhupada. Please accept my humble obeisances. Yeah, I attended that program in Sacramento online, and it was very, very, very enlivening. Nice to see devotees coming together like that. Thanks to Ramachandra for putting his effort, and Yasoda-nandana. I'm sure it's hard to travel and all of that, but this is the devotee's life. We have to do it, even if it's an inconvenience, especially if it's an inconvenience, then Krishna definitely will give us extra blessings. And as we were discussing just now, came to my mind, Bhagavad-gītā Ma Suchaha. Krishna says, good, I got you. You don't need to worry about anything. Do not be afraid. As you see on t-shirts, have no fear. They don't know what they're talking about, but we know what we're talking about. Krishna says, have no fear. This is Krishna, those are Krishna's words. So if we're going to trust anybody, who can we trust? Our neighbor, our best friend, some famous personality? No, why? Because they have no information. So Srila Prabhupada is so kind that he comes, and Krishna says, don't worry, and Prabhupada comes and says, yeah, just help me do this, and you'll be covered. And we know as devotees that if we simply take care of Krishna, Krishna will take care of us. And Krishna, I was criticized by my family, by friends, by the devotees. They're like, "You getting old, man. What are you gonna do? You know, you have no savings, you have practically nothing." And so I just said, Krishna is always taking care of me. Why will he quit now that I'm trying my hardest? He won't. Even when we're on the most fallen condition, Prabhupada said the most fallen devotee is still a very exalted person. So we have to be kind to all the devotees, no matter what they're doing. We all have a past, but we also have a future. And our future is, let's keep this ball rolling. It's rolling very nicely right now. Let's. I would love if every time we have a class, everybody should invite like this devotee in Italy. I see he has a group of people there, and that's like so nice. So we should all try to invite one person. Just try it. Let's see. Let's double this attendance like in 3 months. Let's set a goal. And it's not difficult, you know. I just tell people, I say, hey, this is a nice class. Send them one of the YouTube videos. And these classes are so sweet. The whole, I think it's the best presentation on YouTube as far as Prabhupada Nugas. And I'm very, very happy to be part of it. And I thank everybody. I know this is a difficult job. People don't realize that when you put on a program, you have to mold your whole life around it. This is no joke. This is a very serious business. And to carry this on the way you propose to do this, all glories to your service. Hare Krishna.
Well, thank you very much for your compliments. And this is a very simple matter, people, but new people that are interested in spiritual life. So very simply, all I did was ask them for their email address. I said, send me your email address and I'll send it to our production manager and he can add you into the invitations. And at your leisure, you can join us and you decide for yourself. Like Prabhu Janas Priya was saying, that he finds it very enlivening, the format and the presentation, how we bring Prabhupada's philosophy to life in this sadhana program 3 days a week. 3 days a week. That's 4.5 hours out of 168 hours. Ram Raghava, I wanted to mention, and I'm not going to mention names because that's not the point of this, but I had 2 Prabhupada disciples that I know that are friends of mine. Now, I've been pursuing them for months to prepare an offering for the Vyas Puja book that we have created. And I sent them constant messages, could you please write your offering? And they didn't do it. We have new people that are writing their offerings. We have new people that are interested in going out and distributing books. We have new people that are interested in learning about self-realization from Srila Prabhupada. These are the people, Prabhus, that we want to bring forward. So just get them to give their email address to you, invite them politely, and hopefully this will expand in due course by Krishna's mercy and Prabhupada's blessings. We will also be writing a new invitation. I'm going to rewrite a new invitation. So when you get the invitation, it'll be more for new people. It'll be more informative so they know what they're getting involved in when they join our group and why we're doing this. So all glories to Srila Prabhupada. I wanted to thank everyone once again. We've reached our time limit here today at today's class. There is one question that was sent aboard here and from Kanta, who's very enthusiastic to be a part of what we're doing. He writes, if one who worships the demigods is not intelligent, then those who disobey the spiritual master and become gurus, how do you describe them? Okay, the answer is this, Prabhu. This is a very, very detailed question. And we will be presenting a special edition on this subject coming up in the near future. We'll let you know, and we'd love you to be a part of it and all of you to join us as we discuss these philosophical points, which will help all of us to stay fixed on the path of Krishna consciousness according to Prabhupada's direction. So not to avoid the answer, but to say, well, we've reached the end of the class today, but we will deal with it in the due course, and possibly we can bring it up tomorrow at Srimad Bhagavatam class. So tomorrow, reading and discussion at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time from America and Canada. So mark your calendars and continue to invite people to join us in our journey together back home, back to Godhead in the Prabhupada Disciples Association. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Vinkat Bhatta or Hari Prasad, are you able to bring forward the kirtan? Oh, Vinkat, I didn't imagine.
Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna